Pretty much every week, I get an email from a writer who has received an alleged book deal from a publisher or a literary agent, and they want to know if it is legit or a scam. In today's publishing landscape, it is admittedly harder than ever to sort out what is legitimate from what is a scam, because more and more scammers are entering the landscape and targeting vulnerable authors who don't necessarily understand how the industry works. They are basically profiting off of the author's desire to see their book published and their eagerness to get a response from a literary agent or a publisher, and then scamming them out of a significant amount of money. So today I'm going to talk through some steps to take to ensure that you avoid any potential scams and can recognize a scam publishing deal from a legitimate one. This way you can properly vet any type of deal that you are presented and make sure that it is the right option for your publishing journey. I'm also going to give a list of examples of scams that have been forwarded to me so that you're aware of them and can be on the lookout for them in your inbox. Remember, it is so important for you as an emerging author to protect your creative work and your book rights. So I really recommend educating yourself on these scams, even if you haven't received one yet. If you are anywhere along the book writing or publishing journey, I recommend subscribing to my channel. Every week, I either post tips about book publishing, like this one, or I talk about how to strengthen your story itself, and I'd love to have you around. I also have a free resource I created for my YouTube viewers. The link is in the description below to download my story self-assessment. It's a worksheet that's going to help you assess your own story and identify its strengths and weaknesses and how to take it to the next level. The best part is that it's going to sign you up for my exclusive newsletter where I provide tips and insights not currently available anywhere on my channel. So let's dive into the first step you need to take to avoid a scam publisher, which is to check the online presence of anyone who is reaching out to you. Some of these publishing scams take the form of what we call vanity publishing, which is where you pay an exorbitant fee to a publisher who appears to be reputable and claims they're going to provide you a bunch of services, but then essentially they don't provide you anything you really couldn't have gotten on your own via self-publishing, and you wasted that huge upfront fee. Other times, there will be people who are posing as literary agents, even potentially spoofing real literary agents' names, and pop into your inbox and say they're going to offer you representation or a book deal of some kind. So either way, whether it is an alleged publisher reaching out to you or an alleged literary agent reaching out to you, make sure you do a quick Google search of that name and see what comes up. Also make sure you search for any organization that they claim to work for. Does it have a website? If not, that is a big red flag. So any publishing professional should have at a minimum a LinkedIn page, and most literary agents will also have Twitter pages as well. In addition, the literary agency website should be robust and updated. As I mentioned, more and more scammers are spoofing real agent and agency names, so make sure you're taking a close look at the URL attached to the email address and see if that is actually the URL of that agency. Sometimes they mess up one word or they add a hyphen or something, and that will tell you they're spoofing the real agency name. Now, a legitimate agency should have a website that includes books that they have recently published and authors that they represent. If they don't have that information, that could be a potential scam. Similarly, any potential publisher should have a list of recently published books, and you should be able to see the Amazon pages of those books. In the case of both a literary agency or a publisher, you want to check the team page. Is this one person running the show, or do they have an actual team behind them? In the case of a publisher, do they have editors, designers, marketers, etc.? It's not necessarily a scam if the company or organization just has one person, but you do want to dive a bit deeper into who that person is, what their reputation is, what their professional background is, to make sure they're legit. The other place I want you to check right from the get-go is the Writer Beware blog. This is a really robust website where the person who runs the blog collects all of the publishing and literary agent scams that people send them, and they post them along with a list of scam literary agencies and scam publishers, many of which are not even based in the US, but are targeting people here specifically. So make sure you go to that blog and check whoever is contacting you against that list of red flag agents and red flag publishers. So all that being said, even if you check out the website and it seems legit and the person seems legit, that is not enough to tell you that they actually are legit. It's just the first step because remember, scammers are very sophisticated these days and can pretty easily spoof a website or spoof someone's name, right? So let's go into the next step you should take, which is to review the person or the publisher's prior books. Now, if it is a publisher reaching out to you saying they want to offer you a book deal, it is very important for you to immediately distinguish between a traditional book deal and what we call a hybrid book deal. In a traditional book deal, you will not pay anything upfront to get published. Actually, the publishing house is going to pay you for the rights to publish your book. When we're talking about the major publishing houses in the US, this is how they operate, and typically you need a literary agent's representation to get a traditional book deal. However, there are a few exceptions here where you don't need an agent's representation to get a traditional book deal, so that's why I bring it up now. When it comes to a hybrid publishing deal, they are going to ask you to pay upfront for some amount of services. This is where things really get tricky because many publishers that call themselves hybrid publishers are masking as what we call vanity publishers, which is a term we use for a publisher who's charging you a lot just to see your book published and they're not really providing you any meaningful service. This arena is where most of the scams occur. So I want you to be very, very careful if you are considering a book deal offer where you are being asked to pay money. I have a whole other video on the dangers of hybrid publishing, including a report that came out that cited a lot of problems with hybrid publishers, so definitely check that out if you are at all considering a hybrid publishing offer. So when we're talking about reviewing books by the publisher to determine their legitimacy, I want you to look at the general sales figures of these books, especially if this is operating in the hybrid space. You can get somewhat of an idea of the sales by simply checking the number of reviews on Amazon and Goodreads. If they have only a couple reviews and that book has been published years ago, that's really not a good sign because that makes it seem like there were not a lot of marketing and publicity efforts put behind that book. So then why would you go with a publisher who's not actually going to help you get visibility for your book? Also, I want you to take a look at the cover design, at the marketing copy, the description on the Amazon page. Take a look at the general presentation, even see if you can read some of the first pages. Is it high quality? Is that something that you would be proud to put out? Or does it look a bit DIY or amateurish? If you're going to work with a publisher, it better be professional. I would even say go so far as to reach out to the authors that they have published and just ask them their experience of working with the publisher. Get someone's feedback who's actually been there in your position. They're probably going to give you a lot of insight that the publisher might not be giving you when they are communicating with you via email or on the phone. Ask them point blank if they're satisfied or if there's anything that disappointed them about the experience working with that publisher. So if you go through those steps and you think that this is a good book deal for you, I recommend taking the next step, which is vetting your contract very thoroughly. Make sure you understand every last sentence in that contract, because if this person is scamming you, they are going to work things into the contract that maybe contradict one another. They're going to work things into the terms and conditions that they think you're going to overlook, and you do not want to screw yourself this way. Most importantly, make sure you understand what the publisher is going to provide you exactly and what the rights/royalty splits are. This is especially important if you don't have a literary agent to help you navigate these complex issues. Check if the publisher is going to provide marketing, sales, design, and editing support, or if you are going to be responsible for any of that. What exactly is going to be expected of you as the author? If you are going through with a hybrid deal where you are paying upfront for services, make sure you understand when those services will be delivered to you. Do some poking around online to see if what they are charging for those services is actually in line with industry standards. So for many people who self-publish, they hire book designers and book editors on their own, and you can go ahead and run a search for the average cost of, copy editing, for example, for the length of manuscript you have, and see if your publisher is charging you in line with that for their own copy editing. It could be the case that they're marking up their services significantly to take a profit. And a lot of these alleged hybrid publishers actually do outsource the editing and design work to freelancers. So in some cases, it might make sense just for you to go to the freelancer directly. You have to make sure you're getting value from the publisher. The Authors Guild website has a sample contract for you to review that has all the different sections included in a standard book deal, so I definitely recommend checking your contract against that one. The last step to take to ensure you avoid any scam publishers is to ask tons of questions. You as the author have every right to know exactly where, when, and how your book gets published. And if an alleged publisher or literary agent is shielding you from any of that information, that is a huge red flag. So let's go through some questions you should ask your potential publisher before signing any book deal. Who will be responsible for editing, marketing, design, and sales? What will be the advance structure and royalty rates? Who will own the copyright to the work and when will it be registered? What is your reversion of rights policy? What is the share of subsidiary rights? Where will my book be distributed? What is the expected launch timeline? When is the manuscript due to you? How can the contract be terminated by both parties? Now I want to go through some examples of scam book deals that have been forwarded to me and that I've been made aware of so that you can make sure to look out for anything that seems like one of these in your own inbox. The first is a literary agent asking a fee to read and or edit your manuscript before submitting it to publishers. The only way that literary agents get paid is by a 15% commission of the book deal that they get you with a publishing house. They will not charge anything upfront from you as the author, so that is immediately a scam. Another scam is a literary agency or publisher asking for fees to republish your book that has already been self-published. In most cases, when a book has already been self-published, a publisher, especially a Big 5 publisher, is not going to be interested in republishing it, so this is a huge red flag and likely a scam, especially if they're asking for fees. The next scam is a literary agent or publisher not asking for any money up front, but asking for some kind of personal information, like for you to send a blank check or a passport photo or a money order or your ID. Do not give any of them personal information, especially before you sign a contract and especially before you know what that personal information is exactly for. This also goes for digital information like bank routing info. The next scam, I see this one a lot, which is an alleged filmmaker or an alleged film agent contacting you because they want to make a movie adaptation of your book. This is not how film rights get sold typically. That would go through a literary agent, so that's likely a scam. And finally, there are some scams out there with these fake promotion packages. So they say for this huge fee, they're going to put your manuscript in front of a bunch of literary agents, or they are going to put your manuscript in front of a bunch of publishers, or they're going to give you this huge promotion package for your self-published book. Those are also likely a scam. I hope these tips help you better spot scam publishers and literary agents if they get in your inbox. And I hope it ultimately helps you find a legitimate publisher for your book. Let me know in the comments if you have ever gotten one of these or another scam publishing email. And if you are willing to share the actual contents of that email, please do. I really believe in us sharing these types of bits of evidence in the community because it's only going to help other authors who might come across the same scam. If you are looking for some more insights on how you can potentially publish your book, check out my video on the different publishing options you have. I go through the differences between traditional, self-publishing, and hybrid publishing. As always, if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to grab that free story self-assessment waiting for you in the description below. Thanks so much for watching and happy writing.